Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Tom.
Hey, it's our literature unit, and we're on day 2 of the book, A List of Cages, A Story of Tragedy and Triumph. And on day 1, Tom and I talked about the plot of the book. But one of the things I really like about it, Tom, is that it's about a friendship and about one friend coming to the rescue of another.
Okay, so basically the main characters are Adam and Julian. And now we're going to continue to summarize our story. Let's find out what happens as the school year continues. Let's read through today's lesson now one time. Throughout the school year, Adam continues to be a source of support for Julian. Julian, meanwhile, attains a speaking role in the school play. When he sees Adam, Emerald, and other friends cheering at the final performance, he acknowledges the people who genuinely care for him. One day he goes home wearing clothes that Adam gave him to replace his old, too small clothes. When Russell bullies him about this, Julian finally stands up for himself. His furious uncle responds by locking Julian in a steel trunk to teach him a lesson. 19 days pass, and Adam senses something is deeply wrong. After waking from a nightmare about suffocating, he drives by Russell's house. Russell is nowhere to be seen, so Adam breaks in, finding Julian and rescuing him from the trunk. Julian is taken to the hospital, and a warrant is put out for Russell's arrest. Both boys are deeply affected by this event. In hospital counseling, Julian comes to understand that it wasn't just Russell keeping him constrained, but his own fears. He makes a list of his cages and thereby begins freeing himself from them. Adam, in contrast, is shaken and traumatized. He blames himself for not having contacted the authorities when he first discovered the abuse. To cheer Adam up, his mother throws him a graduation party. However, Russell bursts in with a gun, threatening to kidnap Julian and murder Adam. One of Adam's friends tackles Russell, and in the struggle, the gun goes off and kills its owner. Julian never has to endure his uncle's abuse again. Happily, Adam's mother takes him back in for good, and Julian gains the secure, love-filled life he deserves.
Okay, guys, let's get started. Throughout the school year, Adam continues to be a source of support for Julian, which must have helped Julian quite a bit. Julian, meanwhile, at the same time that's happening, this is happening too. What is happening at the same time is that Julian attains or wins a speaking role in the school play. Now, if you've been in school and you've had a drama department or a school play that is put on, we had a school play every semester. You had to audition for the school play, and that's why we're using the word attain. To attain something means it took some effort to get it. So it's not something that's just given to you. You had to work hard or show a lot of effort to get it, so you gained it, or you achieved something, you attained it, and he attained a speaking role in the school play. Now remember, Julian's very quiet. So, I'm proud of him for just auditioning for the school play. But this is something that a lot of shy people do. They find that if they're on the stage, they're able to pretend that they're, more vivacious and more outgoing, and it's just easier for them if they're acting in a play. So he had some success when he attained the speaking role, which is great.
Okay, so of course his friends all go to see the performance, and so when he sees Adam, Emerald, and other friends cheering at the final performance, he acknowledges the people who genuinely care for him. So, of course, Adam, Emerald, and other friends are very happy for him. They're not just cheering at the end of the final performance because they're being nice. They're actually very happy for him. They enjoyed the performance. And Julian feels this, so he acknowledges that these people genuinely care for him. They're giving me vigorous applause, and I don't think they're just doing it to be nice. They're actually sincere. They did enjoy my performance, and they're happy for me because they know my background and stuff like that. So he knows the people who care for him. He knows who his friends are.
He sure does. So he acknowledges or realizes inside himself, hey, these people really do care for me. They're genuine. They're not fake or false. They really do care for him. Well, one day he goes home wearing clothes that Adam gave to him to replace his old too small clothes. Which is great. It sounds like Russell wasn't keeping him dressed in clothes that fit. His uncle probably didn't want to spend any money or waste any money on Julian. So Adam gave him what we call hand-me-downs, which means an older person gives clothes to a younger person that then fits that younger person. So when Russell bullies Julian about the clothes that he is wearing, Julian finally stands up for himself. If you stand up for yourself, it means you let somebody know that you are you're defending something. He's defending the fact that he was given these clothes. He's not letting Russell, bully him about this. You could also say that Julian finally stands up to Russell. If you stand up to somebody, it just means you deal with them fearlessly. You don't let them bully you. You confront them. But, of course, if you confront a bully and he's really mean and bigger than you, they usually respond by aggressively and violently doing something about it, which means that he probably was punished by Russell for standing up for himself, right?
Indeed. I've read stories about people who plucked up the courage to face those bullies, and they actually were severely injured as a result or even killed. So be careful there. Bullies don't like to be confronted. And so we've got Uncle Russell here, and he was mad at Adam. Where'd you get those clothes? Why are you wearing clothes from someone else? Aren't the clothes I gave you good enough for you? Stuff like that. So, of course, Russell was bullying him, but Julian stood up for himself. Those clothes they're just really old and they're torn and they smell bad. I deserve to have new clothes. Why are you treating me this way? And, of course, Uncle Russell probably did not take kindly to that. How dare you talk back to me? And so, of course, Uncle Russell is furious, and he responds by locking Julian in a steel trunk to teach him a lesson. That'll learn you. That'll teach you a lesson. And if you're furious, you're really, really angry. You have a lot of fury.
Now, the reason these words are in quotation marks, this teach him a lesson, is I'm assuming that's what Russell said exactly. So if you're taking text out of a book and you want to use the exact phrase, you're going to use these quotation marks around the words. Again, he locks Julian in a steel trunk. There's usually not very much space in a steel trunk. So imagine being in that tiny trunk with not a lot of air and no food, of course. So I can't imagine anything worse here. Now we're going to move on to the next paragraph. It says 19 days pass. So a lot of time passes and Adam senses something is deeply wrong. Sometimes we have a feeling inside ourselves that just lets us know something's not right, or maybe there's some danger that's happening, or we need to be careful about somebody or something. That's a sixth sense, that gut feeling that helps you stay safe sometimes. Well, he senses or has a feeling that something's really wrong or deeply wrong. So after waking from a nightmare about suffocating, he drives by Russell's house. When you have a nightmare, you're dreaming at night, but it's not about good things. It's about things that are very unpleasant, very frightening to you. I have nightmares sometimes if I read a scary book or I watch a scary movie, or I'm just worried about something. Sometimes I'll have a nightmare about what I'm upset about. Suffocating is when someone doesn't get enough air to breathe. If you suffocate to death, it means you aren't able to get enough air into your lungs and you die. So he had a nightmare about suffocating, and that got him or put him into motion to drive by Russell's house and to see what was going on.
Yeah, he wants to check on his friend Julian, but Uncle Russell, is nowhere to be seen. He's not there, so Adam breaks in. He goes into the house by breaking the window or something like that. He breaks in. And he's finding Julian. He finds Julian, and he rescues him from the trunk. So when he broke into the house, Julian probably heard that, and he started calling out for help, and Adam heard him. So he broke open the steel trunk. He rescued him. If you rescue someone, of course, you save them from a difficult situation. If you get stuck in the mountains during a hike, you might have to be rescued by helicopter.
Yikes.
And Julian is taken to the hospital, and a warrant is put out for Russell's arrest. So, of course, when you get to the hospital, they're going to be wondering, how did this person get injured like this? So Adam would have to explain, well, his uncle locked him in a trunk, so they called the police. That's basically reckless endangerment or attempted murder. So the police want to arrest Russell, and they put out a warrant for his arrest, which means basically they've been officially given permission to arrest Russell and bring him into jail. So it's been issued or put out. The warrant is put out. It's issued, and the police officers know about this, and they start looking for evil Uncle Russell.
Yeah.
Okay, that brings us to the midway point in our explanation for today. It's time to turn things now over to our Chinese teacher.
听众朋友大家好，我是安娜。我们昨天开始带大家看一个文学作品，一个小说叫做 A List of Cages。 那我们昨天有提到啊， Adam 发现 Julian 其实被他的 Uncle Russell 所家暴之后呢，先把他带到女朋友家小翠她家，可是他们没有报警，因为他们有一点担心，如果报警的话，是不是会进一步就威胁到 Julian 自身的安全。所以呢，后来就是直接让 Julian 回家了。那接下来呢，我们看一下今天这个文章呢提到，就是在整个学年之后啊， Adam 就持续的担任 Julian 支持的来源。不过在第一段第一句的第一个字，这个介系词我们要抓出来看一下。好，首先是它的念法，叫做 throughout。这个介系词啊，它后面可以加时间，指的是在整个时间当中，像这句话，在整个学年当中 throughout the school year， 或者我们可以说 throughout the history， 在整个历史当中。跟它长得很像的有另外一个字叫做 through， T-H-R-O-U-G-H， 那它也是一个介系词，它就有贯穿的意思。比如说开车穿越隧道 through the tunnel。 那还跟他们很像的就是另外一个字叫做 though， 就是所谓的 although， 虽然那个字 T-H-O-U-G-H， 那它就是连接词 although 虽然的意思。好，所以在整个学年当中 Adam 就持续的支持 Julian 啊。那 Julian 他在学校的表现也不错，在戏剧当中呢也有一些争取到一些角色。那他也知道像 Adam 跟他女朋友 Emerald 小翠啊，其实是真正关心他的人。不过呢，后来又发生了一件事情，就是有一天啊，当 Julian 穿着 Adam 给他的衣服回家的时候呢， Russell 就为了这件事情又欺负他。不过呢，当时 Julian 终于有一个勇气来捍卫他自己。好，我们先看一下第一段，在第四句的这个地方。第四句呢，我们先看到逗点之后的主词 he， 就是 Julian， 后面有一个动词叫做 goes home。 我们常说来往站做动词常常会跟着动词 ing 或者是 pp。 例如在这里Julian 回家什么呢？身上同时穿着 Adam 给他的衣服，所以 go 跟 wear 穿衣服的穿其实是同时发生的。我们会在第二个动词穿衣服的穿 这个地方就直接让它变动词 ing， 这种句型呢就会被归在分词构句这里说，因为两个动词同时进行，所以第二个动作直接用动词 ing 就好了。我们再看一次第一段第4句哦。He goes home wearing clothes。他回家，同时身上穿着衣服。什么衣服呢？先行词是 clothes 衣服。That 一直到句尾的地方是限定用法的关系子句。这些衣服啊，就是 Adam 给他替换掉比较小的这一件。那回去之后呢 ，Russell 又对他施以家暴，那么 Julian 就捍卫他自己。可是这个愤怒的叔叔 uncle 啊，他居然把 Julian 锁在一个钢制的行李箱里面，想要借此给他一个教训。我的妈呀！接下来就这样沉默了19天。过了19天之后 ，Adam 觉得怪怪的，怎么都没有见到 Julian。好，我们来看一下第2段的第1句。这个第1句呢，有一个动词可以把它抓出来，叫做 sense。sense 这个字啊，如果是名词，它指的是我们的五官之一，眼睛啊、耳朵啊、什么舌头啊、鼻子这一些。那所以你用 sense 这个字的时候呢，就是不单纯只说看，也包含听啦，或者是代表你的感受的意思。所以 Adam 就觉得怪怪的。后来呢，他就跑去找 Julian， 结果呢，他发现 Russell 就不见了。好，我们来看一下第2段在第3句这个地方 ，Russell 不见了耶。第3句的 Russell is nowhere to be seen， 这边可以把它画起来，这边的表达就还蛮特别的。好，所以 Adam 呢，他就直接闯入，找到 Julian， 然后把他救出来。在这里的 breaks in 之后，同样也是一样一种动感的这种动作 ，finding Julian and rescuing him from the trunk。后来真的就报警了，警方因此就发布了一个逮捕 Russell 的通缉令。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. We're talking about a list of cages, and we were continuing on with the plot from day 1. So we know that throughout the school year, Adam continued to be a source of support for Julian, and Julian was pretty brave and auditioned for a school play, and he attained a speaking role, or was given a speaking role in the school play, which probably helped his confidence a little bit. So when he sees Adam, Emerald, and other friends cheering at the final performance, he's able to say to himself, hey, these people really do care about me. They genuinely care for him. One day, though, he goes home wearing clothes that Adam had given him to replace his really small, too small clothes, we find out. And that's when Russell bullies him some more about the clothes that he's wearing. But Julian, I think, has gained a little bit of confidence, and he decides he's going to stand up for himself. He's not going to let Russell just, bully him and tear him down. So he says, no, you're wrong. These are great clothes, and I have good friends who love me. But, of course, Russell responds furiously by locking Julian up in a steel trunk to teach him a lesson. Of course, the lesson he's supposed to learn is to never talk back to Russell. That's the lesson he's supposed to learn. So 19 days pass. Julian's in that steel trunk, which is horrible, and Adam has this sense inside himself that something's wrong, and he wakes up from a nightmare about suffocating or not being able to breathe, and that kind of gets him going to Russell's house. He drives by to see, what's going on over there. Maybe there's something not right. There's some reason I have this really bad feeling. If you have a bad feeling, you should act on it. Don't wait. That feeling will keep you safe sometimes.
Indeed. So again, the police had a warrant for Russell's arrest, and both boys are deeply affected by this event. As you might expect, being locked in a steel trunk for 19 days is quite traumatic, and he's probably going to have nightmares for several weeks afterwards. So both boys are affected by this. They are upset. They are traumatized by this. And in hospital counseling, Julian comes to understand that it wasn't just Russell keeping him constrained, but his own fears. So, of course, in the hospital, they not only fix you up physically, but they have counselors there. And, of course, if someone comes in who is the victim of abuse or something like that, of domestic abuse, battered women, for example, they'll have counselors there to talk to you and help you out and help you deal with the situation. So the counselor there talks to Julian, and Julian starts to understand, it's not just Russell who was keeping me constrained. It's not just Russell who was keeping me a prisoner, but my own fears were kind of keeping me a prisoner as well. So it's my own fault. I need to work through those myself.
So if someone is constrained, their movement could be restricted where they can't go very far. Or maybe something's keeping you constrained, like if you have broken the law, maybe the police come and put handcuffs on you and you're not able to move around the way you'd like to. But he's realizing that it's not just his uncle that's keeping him in these cages. He's got issues, his fears, his own fears, that are keeping him constrained and not letting him really achieve what he could or grow the way he could. So he makes a list of his cages, and thereby, it says, begins freeing himself from them. So he makes this list of things that he fears, and that's keeping him from being braver or more courageous to try things or talk to certain people. Or, try things that you're not very good at. That could be a cage where you just think, oh, I could never do that. I have no talent. But if you never try, you'll never know. And you certainly won't get any better at it. So he makes the lists, and that helps him start to free himself from his different types of cages. Adam, in contrast, or in the opposite kind of way, he's shaken and traumatized by what he just experienced. If you're traumatized by something, you've gone through something that has really led to a lot of emotional shock to your system, and it's hard for you to move on. You probably have nightmares or need some counseling to actually recover from your trauma. You can be traumatized, or you can experience trauma, or trauma can be a noun too.
Exactly. So, of course, Adam is very upset by this situation, and he blames himself for not having contacted the authorities when he first discovered the abuse. So, yes, indeed, he probably realized something wrong was going on, and he blames himself. Gee, if I had called the police earlier, my friend wouldn't have been locked in that steel trunk for so long, and this problem would have been resolved earlier, but I waited, and I listened to my girlfriend or whatever. So, of course, he blames himself. He feels guilty, and he's also traumatized. And to cheer Adam up, to make him happier, his mother throws him a graduation party. So here we have the word throw. We often use that to talk about giving a party for someone. He throws him a graduation party, or the mother threw him a graduation party, which means she set it up, she bought all the decorations and brought the food in and invited people. So she put on this party for him. She held this party for him.
Right. So, however, it says, Russell bursts in with a gun. Ooh, scary. If you burst into a room or into a place somewhere, it means you're entering very suddenly. You probably aren't knocking on the door. You're just, rushing in. So he bursts in with a gun, threatening to kidnap Julian and murder Adam. He's a bad dude, I must say. If you kidnap somebody, you take them hostage, you keep them prisoner, and typically you ask for something in return. Most kidnappers are asking for money from the family. Here, he wants to kidnap Julian, not for money. He just wants to take Julian back, probably because he enjoys abusing him. There are people out there like that. And he also, Russell, that is, he wants to kill Adam or murder him.
Exactly. So, yeah, he's going to kidnap Julian, ask for ransom or something like that. And, of course, he's going to get his revenge on Adam by murdering him. And one of Adam's friends tackles Russell. That means he grabs him and takes him down to the ground, just like in American football. They try to tackle the ball carrier. And in the struggle, the gun goes off and kills its owner. Okay, so if a gun goes off, it fires, it shoots, bang. And fortunately, in this case, it killed the owner and not the friend of Adam. And the owner, of course, was Russell. He owns the gun. He's the guy who broke in with the gun.
Wow. And it just happens to kill the worst person in the room, and that's Russell. I'm not sad to say that the gun killed him. So Julian never has to endure his uncle's abuse again. To endure something means you go through something that's tough on you. It could be physical, it could be mental or emotional. But if you endure, you don't give up, you just keep going. You don't let that thing beat you. But to endure something also means you're suffering in some way, or you're going through something that's painful or difficult, but you're not quitting, you're not giving up, you're just continuing. So he's never going to have to suffer from his uncle's abuse again. Happily, it says, Adam's mother takes Julian back in for good. For good means permanently. So he can live in a really happy, warm family. I'm sure he'll do much better there. And Julian gains the secure, love-filled life he deserves.
And that's how the book ends, but of course we encourage you to try reading this book yourself, even though we should have given you a spoiler alert as to how the book ends, but you can still try it. It's probably going to be very entertaining for you and very beneficial for your reading comprehension ability. Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today, but before we say goodbye, we need to hear from our Chinese teacher.
当然两个男生都深深受到这件事情的影响，因为 Julian 觉得说他就开始发现了，其实 Russell 虽然束缚他，但是他自己的恐惧就是不敢去反抗这件事情，其实也深深的束缚他。那么 Adam 呢，他也会怪自己，觉得好像自己没有尽到责任，没有在第一次发现家暴行为的时候就去进行通报。所以他妈妈呢， Adam 的妈妈其实就在 Adam 毕业的时候帮他举行了一个这个毕业的派对，但是呢后来居然发生了在那个派对的时候，这个 Russell 突然带着枪闯入，然后威胁要劫持 Julian， 然后要谋杀 Adam。 我们来看一下第4段，在第2句的地方，这边中间有一个逗点之后的 threatening， 它其实是 and 的简化之后所谓的分词构句，也就是 and 省略之后的分词构句。本来第一个动词是闯进 burst in， 然后闯进的同时呢就是要威胁的这个动作，所以这个动作啊 threatening 如果还原本来应该是 and threatens， 那如果我们把连接词删掉之后，动词直接变成动词 ing。好，那后来 Adam 有一个朋友就直接把 Russell 拦住，而且在搏斗当中因为枪支走火， Russell 当场就被射杀身亡了。那么因此 Julian 就不用再忍受叔叔的虐待啦，然后 Adam 的母亲就决定要永远的收留他。那么 Julian 当然也获得了他的安全感，然后呢就得到了一个充满爱的生活。我们明天会针对这个故事做一些更深入的探讨。我是安娜，我们明天见。
That's it for today, everybody. But come back next time, and we're going to talk about the story again. We're going to talk about some themes and ideas, and we'll also talk about the author herself, Robin Rowe. We all look forward to seeing you then. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
See ya.